The morning sun painted the towering glass headquarters in shades of gold as Serena Vale stood on the sidewalk clutching the leather folder that held years of hard work and impossible dreams. Today was her first day at Ashford Dynamics, the city's most prestigious architectural firm. She whispered a promise to herself that she would earn every success through talent alone, never through luck or sympathy. Hidden inside the folder, however, rested a document she had not dared look at since returning from Europe, a marriage certificate bearing her name beside that of a man she had believed she would never see again. Only 3 weeks earlier, Serena had been stranded overseas after a ferry accident left dozens of travelers without valid identification. A temporary legal arrangement had been required to protect several witnesses involved in a criminal investigation, and among those strangers was a calm, sharp-eyed man named Kalen. Their emergency marriage had been presented as the safest solution until the authorities completed their work. Once the crisis ended, they had quietly gone their separate ways, agreeing that the strange chapter belonged in the past. Now, standing before her new workplace, Serena believed the world had finally returned to normal. Inside the elegant lobby, polished marble reflected the movements of employees dressed in tailored suits. Everyone seemed to know exactly where they belonged except Serena. She accepted her visitor badge with a grateful smile and followed the directions given by the receptionist. While searching for the orientation room, she stepped into a sleek black elevator just before its doors slid shut. The cabin was silent except for the soft hum of its ascent. She frowned when she noticed there were no numbered buttons, only a glowing security panel. Before she could react, the elevator paused. The doors opened. A tall man entered without looking up from the files in his hand. The instant his eyes met Serena's, time seemed to stop. Kalen Ashford. His confident expression vanished for the briefest moment before returning behind a practiced mask of composure. Serena's heart pounded so fiercely she wondered if he could hear it. Neither of them spoke while the doors closed. "So," Kalen finally said in a calm voice, "this is where fate decided to send you." Serena struggled to steady her breathing. "You own this company?" "I do." The answer struck harder than she expected. The stranger she had accidentally married was not merely successful. He was the billionaire CEO whose name appeared on every newspaper's business page. "I had no idea," she whispered. "I believe you." He slipped a silver access card into the control panel, stopping the elevator between floors. The unexpected pause filled the cabin with an uneasy silence. "Our marriage must remain secret," he said quietly. "No one here can know." Serena lifted her chin despite the shock. "I wasn't planning to tell anyone. I came here because I earned this position." A faint smile flickered across his face, carrying genuine admiration before disappearing just as quickly. "I hoped you'd say that." The elevator resumed its climb. When the doors opened to the executive floor, several senior managers were waiting. They greeted Kalen with immediate respect, but confusion spread across their faces when they noticed him standing beside a new employee. His usually unreadable expression lingered on Serena for one heartbeat too long. Among the waiting executives, Victor Sorin watched the exchange with narrowed eyes. He had spent years studying every weakness his powerful employer possessed. For the first time, he believed he had found one. Serena quickly discovered that earning respect at Ashford Dynamics would require far more than talent. Although the orientation manager welcomed her warmly, many co-workers treated her with polite distance, and a few whispered whenever she passed. News traveled fast in the company, and her unexpected appearance beside the CEO in the private elevator had already become the subject of endless speculation. Victor Sorin wasted no time turning curiosity into suspicion. During Serena's first project meeting, she presented an innovative design for an environmentally sustainable business complex. The room listened attentively until Victor interrupted with a dismissive laugh. "Ambition is admirable," he said, tapping the blueprint with a pen, "but experience matters more than imagination." Several managers lowered their eyes instead of defending her. Serena swallowed the embarrassment and calmly answered every criticism with facts, refusing to let emotion cloud her judgment. Although Victor rejected the proposal, Kalen, seated at the end of the conference table, noticed that every objection Serena addressed revealed both intelligence and quiet confidence. He said nothing. His silence disappointed her more than Victor's cruelty. By lunchtime, rumors had spread throughout the building. Some employees insisted Serena had been secretly hired because she knew the CEO. Others claimed she was trying to attract his attention. Every whispered conversation followed her through the corridors. That evening, after nearly everyone had gone home, Serena remained at her desk refining the proposal Victor had dismissed. As she packed her belongings, she noticed a cup of fresh coffee waiting beside her computer. There was no note and no one nearby. The same thing happened the next morning. And the morning after that. The mysterious kindness became the brightest part of her difficult days. Meanwhile, Kalen struggled with a conflict he refused to admit aloud. Keeping their marriage secret protected both the company and Serena's career, yet every time he watched her endure unfair treatment, the decision felt less justified. He ordered the security department to ensure she was never left alone in the building after dark, but he instructed them never to reveal who had given the order. A week later, Serena received a frantic phone call from her grandmother, Mara. The hospital had approved a complicated heart operation she could never afford. Tears filled Serena's eyes as she apologized for being unable to help. The billing office interrupted the conversation. The surgery has already been paid in full by an anonymous donor. Neither Mara nor Serena could discover who had made such an extraordinary gift. Across town, Kalen quietly closed the confirmation email before anyone entered his office. He expected nothing in return. His greatest reward was knowing Mara would live. Victor, however, noticed changes that others ignored. Security guards appeared unusually attentive whenever Serena worked late. Important clients complimented ideas she had contributed despite Victor's attempts to erase her name from reports. Someone powerful was protecting her. Determined to expose the connection, Victor arranged another humiliation. During the company's monthly executive presentation, Serena's completed design files suddenly disappeared from the shared system only moments before she was scheduled to present. Victor folded his arms with false sympathy. It appears our newest architect wasn't prepared. Laughter echoed through the conference room. Serena refused to panic. She walked confidently to the display screen and delivered the entire presentation from memory, explaining every measurement, structural calculation, and environmental feature without referring to a single document. When she finished, silence filled the room. One by one, the senior architects began applauding. Even executives who rarely praised anyone nodded with genuine respect. Kalen remained expressionless, but beneath the table his hand tightened around his pen with quiet pride. Victor smiled politely for everyone to see. Inside, he was furious. As the meeting ended, he watched Serena leave the room while Kalen's eyes instinctively followed her. At that moment, Victor understood the truth he had been searching for. The CEO's greatest strength was no longer his empire. It was the woman he was desperately trying to pretend meant nothing to him. Victor's discovery changed the atmosphere inside Ashford Dynamics. He no longer cared about humiliating Serena in small ways. He wanted to destroy the invisible bond between her and Kalen, whatever it was. Every smile he offered concealed another scheme, and every polite conversation hid a calculation. Serena, unaware of the danger growing around her, devoted herself to a prestigious redevelopment project that would determine the company's future. The abandoned waterfront district was scheduled to become a modern business center, and she was assigned to conduct the final structural inspection before construction began. It was the opportunity she had dreamed of, and she refused to waste it. The evening before the inspection, Kalen stopped beside her desk after everyone else had left. "You've been working too hard," he said quietly. She looked up with surprise. "You're finally speaking to me in public?" "There isn't anyone here." A faint smile appeared on her face. "For a moment," she admitted, "I thought you'd forgotten the promise we made in Europe." "I haven't forgotten a single day." His voice carried more emotion than he intended. Serena searched his eyes. "Then why keep pretending I'm a stranger?" Kalen hesitated. "Because once people discover we're connected, they'll question every achievement you've earned." "I don't need protection from gossip." "No," he replied softly. "You need protection from people like Victor." Before she could ask what he meant, his phone rang. He stepped away to answer an urgent call, leaving Serena with more questions than answers. The following morning, Victor arrived at the construction site long before anyone else. Hidden beneath his expensive suit was a ruthless determination. He secretly instructed a corrupt subcontractor to remove several temporary support braces from an unfinished section of the building. The damage would remain invisible until enough weight was placed on the structure. When Serena arrived with the inspection team, everything appeared normal. She carefully reviewed blueprints, examined steel beams, and compared measurements. Something felt wrong. A support column seemed slightly misaligned, but the official reports showed no errors. Her instincts urged caution. Just as she stepped deeper into the building, a loud crack echoed through the empty halls. Concrete dust exploded into the air. Steel groaned. The floor lurched beneath her feet. "Everyone out!" Serena shouted. Workers ran toward the exits as part of the ceiling collapsed behind them. Several laborers became trapped beneath twisted scaffolding, while thick clouds of dust swallowed the emergency exits. Across town, Kalen received the emergency call. Without waiting for security or emergency crews, he raced to the site. Sirens wailed as firefighters struggled to assess the unstable structure. Rescue commanders ordered everyone to remain outside. Kalen ignored them. "My employee is still inside," he said, pushing past the barricades. The building trembled again as he disappeared into the smoke. Inside, Serena had freed one injured worker but found herself trapped by fallen concrete. Coughing through the dust, she searched desperately for another escape. A familiar voice called through the darkness. "Serena." She turned to see Kalen climbing over shattered beams despite the danger. "You shouldn't be here," she cried. "I wasn't leaving without you." Another violent rumble shook the building. A steel beam crashed toward Serena. Kalen lunged forward and pulled her out of its path only seconds before it struck the floor with a deafening crash. For the first time since their unexpected marriage, he held her without hesitation. Outside, firefighters finally reached them and guided the injured workers to safety. News cameras captured the dramatic rescue as paramedics rushed forward. Victor watched from a distance, believing the collapse had eliminated the one person standing between him and complete control of the company. Instead, he saw Kalen refusing medical treatment until Serena was safely inside an ambulance. Victor's smile vanished. His carefully arranged disaster had failed. Worse still, the rescue had revealed a truth neither Serena nor Kalen could hide much longer. Their desperate concern for one another had been witnessed by hundreds of employees, journalists, and emergency responders. By nightfall, the entire city was asking the same question. Why had the powerful CEO risked his own life for a new employee? By sunrise, every major news outlet was broadcasting the same footage of Kalen carrying Serena through clouds of dust while refusing to let rescuers separate them. Questions about their relationship spread faster than the investigation into the building collapse, placing enormous pressure on Ashford Dynamics and its board of directors. Victor seized the opportunity. During an emergency board meeting, he presented falsified inspection records claiming Serena had approved unsafe structural changes before the accident. He argued that her negligence had endangered dozens of lives and insisted she be dismissed immediately. Several board members, shaken by the public backlash, began to believe him. Serena sat quietly, refusing to accuse anyone without proof. Kalen rose from his chair. "If someone must be held responsible," he said firmly, "hold me accountable. Every project in this company is my responsibility." The room fell silent. Victor hid a satisfied smile. A disgraced CEO would leave the company vulnerable, allowing him to pursue the leadership he had coveted for years. Just as the board prepared to vote, the lead investigator entered the conference room carrying newly recovered security footage from the construction site. The recording showed Victor arriving hours before the inspection with an unauthorized subcontractor. It captured temporary support braces being deliberately removed and confidential engineering files being altered afterward. Financial records uncovered moments later revealed secret payments to shell companies that Victor controlled. The deception unraveled in minutes. Police officers waiting outside entered the boardroom and arrested Victor on charges of fraud, sabotage, and attempted corporate homicide. As he was escorted away, he glared at Serena. "You ruined everything," he muttered. Serena answered calmly, "You destroyed yourself the moment you chose greed over people." With the immediate crisis over, the board turned its attention to the questions surrounding Serena and Kalen. Reporters crowded outside the building, demanding answers. Kaylin looked at Serena. "We've hidden long enough." She nodded. Together they walked into the crowded press hall. Flashes from hundreds of cameras illuminated the room as Kaylin revealed the truth. He explained the unusual circumstances that had led to their unexpected marriage overseas and admitted they had concealed it only to protect Serena's career from accusations of favoritism. For several tense seconds, no one spoke. Then one veteran journalist asked Serena a single question. "If you had known he was a billionaire CEO before accepting this job, would you still have come?" She smiled gently. "No. I would have walked away. I wanted to succeed because of my ability, not because of my husband." Her honest answer changed everything. The next morning, newspapers praised her integrity instead of questioning it. Employees who had doubted her apologized sincerely, acknowledging the dedication and resilience she had shown despite relentless criticism. At the company's annual assembly, Kaylin surprised everyone by announcing sweeping reforms. Promotions would be based solely on merit, anonymous ethics reporting would be strengthened, and employees facing family medical emergencies would receive financial assistance through a new foundation established in Mara's name. He then invited Serena onto the stage. Instead of offering her a title because she was his wife, he presented the evaluation reports written independently by senior architects. Every report ranked her as the highest-performing architect of the year. The promotion she received had been earned long before anyone knew the truth. Months later, the rebuilt waterfront district opened to the public. Parks, schools, and affordable housing stood where abandoned warehouses had once crumbled. Families filled the streets, children played beneath rows of flowering trees, and the project became a symbol of renewal rather than tragedy. As evening settled over the city, Kaylin invited Serena into the same private elevator where their extraordinary reunion had begun. The doors opened onto the rooftop garden above company headquarters, transformed into a peaceful sanctuary overlooking the skyline. "I used to think success meant building the tallest towers," Kaylin said. Serena slipped her hand into his. "And now?" He smiled. "Now I know the strongest thing I've ever built wasn't made of steel or glass. It was the trust we chose to protect, even when everything around us was falling apart." Below them, the city lights shimmered like countless stars, reflecting a future they had never expected but had earned together through courage, sacrifice, and unwavering faith in one another. Their journey had begun with a secret marriage and a chance meeting in an elevator, but it ended with a love strong enough to rise above betrayal, proving that the greatest foundations are built not with concrete, but with honesty and hope.